another one of Mr. Cheatham's really quite long PowerPoint presentations on health and safety. It's not that I long for bad things to happen, but crime fighting is tough when there's just no crime. The only remotely interesting recent developments are that a new boy has joined the class this term, and so has a new teacher. The new boy is called Taylor Barkley, and he's quite small and very skinny. The new teacher is called Mr. Probert, and he's quite tall and very shiny. Miss Casey used to be our teacher. She was extremely forgetful, especially with names, and she lost things almost as often as my Nan does. About 80%, or 4/5 of my Nan's time is spent looking for either her glasses, her purse, or her keys. But even though Miss Casey spent 2 terms calling me Lisa rather than Laurie, and calling everyone else, including the girls, Colin — note, there isn't a single Colin in the school — I thought she was a good teacher. Now she's off having a baby, and I have dedicated a page in my secret notebook to my concerns regarding this. Pros and cons of Miss Casey becoming a parent. Pro. 1. Miss Casey seemed really happy when she made the announcement. Not entirely sure if happiness was due to impending baby or impending long break from Class 6B. Cons. 1. Miss Casey just cannot remember names. Will this be any better with her own child? Or will baby Casey grow up unsure if it is actually called Colin or not? Proposed solution. Miss Casey should probably call the baby, boy or girl, Colin, just to be on the safe side. 2. Miss Casey can't remember where she's put things. Will this be any better with her own child? Or will little Colin be left in a toilet, on the photocopier, in the boot of her car, in any of the other places Miss Casey regularly loses things? Proposed solution. Attach little Colin to Magic Find That key ring, like the one I got Nan last Christmas. When you lose your keys, baby, similar, you just whistle, and the Magic Find That key ring emits electronic bleeps. This hasn't been so useful for Nan, as it turns out she can't whistle and neither can I. In fact, both the Magic Find That key ring and attached keys to our house were lost by Boxing Day. Note to self, check if Miss Casey can whistle. 3. While Miss Casey is on maternity leave, we're left with Mr. Probert. Mr. Probert is nothing like Miss Casey. He never forgets our names or loses anything. He wears smart suits, drives a big shiny car, and uses an LED pointer. If we get a question right, Mr. Probert has an alarming habit of shouting, "Boom!" loudly. I've actually stopped putting my hand up to answer questions as a direct result. Mr. Probert is an NQT, which means newly qualified teacher. But before he became a teacher, he worked in business for 15 years. He talks about business a lot, but he never actually says what business he was in. I find this quite mysterious. He's told us, several times, about the fateful day he realised he needed to share all he had learnt from business with the next generation and decided to become a teacher. Mr. Probert is always talking about the real world. When Harry Besley copied Yasmin Oldershaw's work, Mr. Probert said, "You wouldn't get away with that in the real world." If we're slow lining up for lunch, he says, "This won't cut the mustard in the real world." I don't know if I'm the only person who finds this confusing and worrying. What is this if it's not the real world? The other big change this term is that we no longer have school on Friday afternoons. Mr. Wilson, the head teacher, has been saying for years that the school hasn't got any money. That's why the trim trail in the playground was never replaced after the wood rotted and it fell apart, and why part of the hall has been taped off for ages due to water damage, and why Mr. Cheatham handed out cards, not presents, when he dressed up as Father Christmas last year. "We've tightened our belts as much as we can," said Mr. Wilson in a special assembly. "But I'm sad to say it hasn't been enough. The terrible truth is that we can no longer afford to open on Friday afternoons." He said that by closing early, the school will save a bit of money on staffing and can start to repay its debts. I don't understand how the school owes money, or to who, or for what. I thought about asking Mr. Probert, but I was sure the answer would involve the real world.